Welcome to the Cool Health Podcast, where we unlock groundbreaking research in health and wellness by bringing you the latest in health news and in-depth interviews with experts in their fields. We're here to make health cool again. Sharon, how can people find effortless vitality?
Well, the mystery of life is that it's inside of you. It's not out there. It's in here.
Understood. And what does that mean? Does that mean everything we need to know, we already know? Or how can we figure that out?
It's really a totally different level of loving yourself. I have this formula that I break it down real simple. What are the things you love to do? What's your personal qualities? What's your hot buttons? What's your aspirations and your values? Now, we don't often know what our values are other than when, let's get this guy off the road. He's in my way.
Yeah.
And guiding principles, but it's a deep dive into self wisdom, and I don't know anybody that's teaching this, so I am unique. And when I found it out, every day felt right because I was living from what matters to me and recognizing that what's inside is darn good stuff.
True that. So you're the queen of courage. How did you discover your passion for helping others find this joy and this spark? Oh, it's time to thank the amazing sponsor of this podcast, Alitura Naturals, my go-to destination for high-quality skincare products made with the finest ingredients. At Alitura, they use the most pure, nutrient-rich ingredients at the core of every product. From things like wild-crafted sea buckthorn and organic aloe vera to grass-fed colostrum and organic cacao butter. Each of the ingredients is thoughtfully selected, and it has these incredible healing and nourishing properties. Why do I choose them over other skincare? I mean, just from their all-natural ingredients, guys. Alitura takes pride in using only ethically sourced, natural, and organic materials to create their powerful formulas, ensuring your skin gets the best possible care without harsh chemicals. It's scientifically proven and effective. Each ingredient in their products is backed by thorough scientific research to maximize effectiveness in supporting skin health and anti-aging. And finally, it was created by an expert, Andy Nilo, a former model and actor, founded Alitura after a life-changing accident, and this led him to develop his own transformative skincare solutions. So, guys, join the thousands of satisfied customers who have discovered the stunning results of Alitura's exceptional skincare line. Use my code JEK20, all caps JEK20. Get yourself a discount. This stuff is truly amazing, guys. Thank Hostage Tape. We're here to discover the revolutionary way to improve your sleep and overall health. Mouth taping is a natural and effective method for promoting nasal breathing during sleep, which unlocks a world of incredible benefits, including enhanced sleep quality, reduced snoring, improved mental focus, and boosted overall health. Also, it's a safe and comfortable design, especially designed to be hypoallergenic, gentle on the skin, and easy to remove. It allows you to get in deep sleep states, and I'm telling you, when I put on my Oura Ring and check my scores, they're always so much better when I use Hostage Tape. For the discount code, guys, it's going to be John67447 for 10% off. Once again, John67447 for 10% off. If you really want to enhance your sleep, get amazing deep sleep, and feeling incredibly refreshed, let's do it. Yes.
Well, of course, it comes from my own experience. I had, this is kind of another subject, but all through my career, I had this underlying quiet little, you're just invisible.
Yeah.
And that came from my childhood. But I started coaching school a week before I retired. Oh, and let me say, I'm 75 and I brag about it.
Yeah, you are. And you look like you're 55. Killing it.
Yeah. So the first thing we learned in coaching school was to write our essence statement, what we called then. I've changed it because essence is being used a lot these days and nobody really knows what it is. But inner spark, we kind of more easily relate to. And I realized when I lived from my essence, my inner spark, every day feels right. And I had started being like, oh, I'm bouncing off the wall. What do I do with my day with retired? How do I know if I'm productive? Well, I started living, when I lived from my spark, I felt like I was living from my core,
Understood.
my purpose. And then it just flowed. So effortless vitality is when you're living in the flow and things are just jamming and working right. And it's in the groove. It's flows. There's nobody having to, come on, Jack, give me some more.
Right.
No,
Right.
right.
Okay, so what's the importance of this, especially going in, you're about to retire? I noticed a lot of people that are getting into that age, it almost seems like they have nothing else better to do but watch TV and or hope for things. What's the importance of repurposing one's unique talents, experience, knowledge, and values into that spark that you're talking about?
Nobody tells us we're the boss now. You had to please a boss before. That was kind of my question about being productive.
Right.
There's nobody to say I'm doing a good job today or you're right on target and it's going to work. You have to decide that. Nobody teaches us how to decide that. But making a marvelous transition into retirement is mostly a lot of finding a new purpose. Your purpose was to make your boss happy so you get paid. Well, you have to decide what matters in your day. Now, granted, a lot of people in retirement kind of start toting on their grandkids and taking care of them during the day and all this stuff and playing with them and going on trips with them. I didn't have that. I have no children. I have no spouse.
I see.
So even more is that lost feeling, and that purpose is so critical. My hot button, Jack, is that retirement, all this free time is potential that's not tapped. All that TV time, excuse me, you're slowly dying because the myth going around my last job was that it takes 3 years. You're dead within 3 years when you retire. That hurt.
And I'm guessing it's not the physical death.
It might take 3 years for a couch potato to die.
Sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah. So I a little analogy, but on my patio here, I have a ground cover plant that I just have the hardest time keeping alive. And one day I guess I came back from vacation and I thought, well, I got to water that plant. It's going, oh yeah, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Understood.
So you got to have a new reason to grow and contribute and live. And granted, there's something vastly missing in the retirement arena in that there's not a good place to say, oh, go to this website and type in all your, experiences. Here, we got a volunteer job for you. Or we got a project over here. You might even get paid for something. That's kind of coming along. And I do have a resource list for that I'm glad to help people, give people. But websites, books, movies that speak to how things could be different in retirement. But it's a new puzzle piece that we have to discover what makes our hearts sing. And it's so important because I'm headed for 100, excuse me, and I intend to do it with lots of vitality and contribute. And in fact, I'm looking at being a cruise ship enrichment speaker, perhaps.
Oh yeah? Is there a specific cruise ship?
Well, the cruise ship speakers now are mostly retired professors, and I'm not quite at that level, but I think I have a message to be heard.
100%. And to explain a little bit about your background, you were in a whole host of things, but what was life like, before now?
Well, okay. So this feeling invisible, that's kind of before my work, but I just applied myself, be diligent, be responsible, be focused, get that paycheck, pay for the roof over your head and the car. And the I kind of lived from what mattered to me, a paycheck.
Oh,
It wasn't, and I did do a few things. Well, I was seemingly always in school, but I did take a Dale Carnegie course through work, thank goodness. And I did be involved in Toastmasters. In fact, I went to the national convention once, and what an inspiration that was. But I just kind of followed somewhat as the doors would open. I actually had given my power to my boss, in that when he sees that I'm ready to advance, he'll know and he'll move me on. That's not the best philosophy to have, because they're so busy they might be blinded about how good I'm doing. But I did notice that when I take initiative, people would notice that.
interesting.
So after about 40 years of expecting him to move me on, I thought, okay, let's take this by the horns and do it myself.
Absolutely. Your peers, what have you noticed by your peers going into this age, this golden age, you would say? Are a lot of them aligned with how you're feeling right now, this inner spark, or do you see a lot of confusion in this day and age?
Well, that's a big question, Jack. I feel like I am very unique, and I did start a meetup group here in town 2-3 years ago, maybe 4 now, and I moved on from them, even though they're still meeting. But they're not. They don't seem to be focused on growing and having a purpose. Now, maybe most of their purpose is family. I can think of 3 or 4 of them that's definitely the case. They're moving and grooving with whatever's happening with the family. But those that don't have grandkids are kind of like, I know one gal that's raising chickens in a garden and crocheting or something, and maybe that's good for her. Now, granted, once you get caught up on your sleep, which is pretty important, you start having different aspirations, or something that's knocking at your heart and say, isn't there something more? I wonder what more I could do. And so I'm this thing of living from your heart, and from, well, that your work kind of has you living from your head, but now it's time to live from your heart. And not very many people are teaching that. And I think that is so sad. It's starting to come out some. When I wrote my book, Fresh Courage in Retirement, Finding Purpose, Essence, and Fulfillment, and I make these art blocks, and they're scattered throughout the book, but there's, I forgot my train of thought. It was, anyway, purpose gets close to living from your heart, but nobody trains us how to make that transition and why it's important. Living from your heart probably comes along with the TV program.
Absolutely.
It keeps us not doing our own thinking. And doing our own thinking is pretty significant in living a better life, making choices for you. And there's so many distractions, so much going on with gaming that is just wasting time. Excuse me, people. We can make this a better world if we focus on what our experience, our education, our talents, and share them with the world. I love that there's being more inclusive inclusiveness, and that heavy people, skinny people, deformed people, too tall, too short. There is an acceptance more today than there were 10 years ago. And I love that because it's starting to embrace that everybody has something to give.
100%. Are there some key practices people going into retirement, a loss of spark? Is there some key things that they can practice throughout the day to maybe find and feel that heart a bit more?
Well, yeah, this first thing that comes to mind is pretty simple, but it is so powerful. Is that, are you constantly fearing, worrying, negative? What could happen? What could happen? What could happen? Reach for the sky. What could happen?
I like it.
One of my art blocks, in fact, it came up on Facebook this morning. I love the saying, as is actually from somebody here in Seattle area. Worry is a misuse of imagination. You are given the chance to be ingenious. Ingenuity is a gift. And worry doesn't get you there. That's like a hamster, going, are they getting anywhere with worrying and spinning around? No, that's a waste of energy. And so the whole shift from negative to positive is pretty significant in retirement. In fact, I talked a couple nights ago to a guy in Florida that's turning 80 on Friday, and he's got a Facebook page called Adventurous Aging, and we clicked because we kind of believe the same thing: possibilities, curiosity, hope, potential. See, I got possibilities, potential. All those words we love, and it's going to take a change. Some people have like a band on their arm to remind them when they think of a negative thought, snap themselves, so it hurts a little bit like a rubber band, and say, what could be the possibility? How can you be curious? Courage and curious is pretty significant things for me. And that's what keeps us young.
Absolutely. I feel like it's really difficult nowadays to be in a possible and future optimization viewpoint when you're constantly thinking about what I don't have and what could have been. When you're in the past and the future so often, there's no time to really embrace that potential, which is now, and a lot of hope. Even with people my age, I feel like that's more and more. You see the materials, you see the money you can get at your job, and almost everything goes out of the picture. There's no more balance in life. It's technology. How can I influence other people with my pictures, and how can I help my boss get money? And you're absolutely right. I feel like if starting with my age, if you keep that mindset up until, let's say, your age, how difficult is that to change? People are really stuck with those negative thought patterns and the automatic negative thoughts. But you're saying we can change that.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that risk actually kind of excites us. I think guys more than gals. But society has put so many, let's be safe with, having lots of insurance, even insurance on your pets.
There's pet insurance.
Well, so insurance is a good example of, don't make me lose all my savings account by, having to pay for something that I don't want to lose my stash, kind of thing. Or anyway, but the school, there's starting to be an uprising of people who say school does not teach us how to handle things like risk that excite us and keep us exploring and keep us being curious. No, well, let's make it safe for everybody. Let's just have calm and safe, and just don't get too excited and don't take the risk. And yet our spirit, our that ingenuity wants to be challenged and what could happen. Get back. I used to say, I haven't said it much lately, is get back to being curious like a 3-year-old. If they want to find something behind the cabinet door, they're going to do what they can to open things up. And I'm curious. How can you be courageous to be curious today in the next 20 years?
Amazing. Curiosity, that childlike state, something people lose pretty quick. I would say once you hit college, I've already noticed it in my peers themselves. They get a job, and next thing you know, it's all about the job. And, if they're in a relationship, the relationship's already dwindling and their health's dwindling. How do we keep, before we get into your new class that you'll be doing soon, how do you stay vital when it comes to things like health and sleep? A huge problem with people as they get older is the decline in muscle mass and bone density, sarcopenia. You see a lot of elders and older people fall, break bones. Now they're injured. Now they're on the couch for life. How do you stay vital and keep that vibrance so you are able to have this mindset and beyond?
Well, going back maybe 20 years, easily 20, maybe even 30, but especially my last job, as I was maybe over 55, I started making my sleep a priority, protecting it. My last job was having to get up at 3:30 in the morning and travel. I had to leave the house by 5:20, and in order to be to work by 6 o'clock.
Wow. What was this job?
Boeing.
What was it?
Boeing Airport.
Boeing Airport. Oh, okay. So what did you do at the airport?
Well, I was, in fact, a facilitator of trying to bring problem solving down to the lowest levels in Boeing. So it's not the managers that are making the critical decisions on a daily basis, it's the people down in the trenches. Well, they kind of resisted that because management has always done that. We'll blame, we could blame management. So it was a hard job, but I stepped up to the plate because empowering people and bringing out their best has always been important to me. So protecting my sleep, I would make sure that if I was going to go to something in the evening, I preferred that it started by 6 or 6:30. If it started at 7 or 7:30, okay, I might need to leave early. I wanted to be home by 8 so I could be in bed by 8:30 so I could get up at 3:30.
100%. Yeah.
So that's another way, Jack, of loving yourself, making some boundaries on what you're willing to let go of, and let go of your sleep. I find a lot of people put on weight because they're just not resting enough. My younger sister is put on significant pounds because I think she has to be at work at 7. Now, she doesn't have the drive I had, but that whole thing of, needing to do more and more things in the evening that you get to bed late, excuse me, loving yourself is living by that boundary. So, let's see. Another thing, as I was leading towards, I started, since I've never married, I started kind of actually looking around and say, they say people live longer in retirement when they have a good circle of friends.
100%.
And and I'm still needing to work on that. And in fact, I want to recommend to people that the book Together, written by a former Surgeon General, is all about loneliness. And he covers loneliness all the way from 3-4 years old to 94 years old. It's very well written, but it is how to look at both parents and children and all the times that either, getting bullied makes us feel lonely and pulled back and reclusive instead of embracing the pain of things like being bullied. And in fact, I read just yesterday somebody that they created a shoebox, covered it with paper, and gave everybody a card to say, I need whatever. And they would put a the kids in the class, the teacher would put something in the I need box to the point that kids started feeling safe to say I need, maybe it's a pencil, maybe it's sitting in a different chair in the class. But what turned out was the first couple of weeks, they actually got 2 cards talking about bullying. And she solved that problem the same week. And now everybody will put something in the box where they write on their card or not.
It's amazing.
So it felt safe. And I don't know that we're feeling safe yet to talk about loneliness in retirement. After reading the Together book, I have made it more of a priority to reach out to people and start trying to include more people in conversation. I'm not one usually to call on the phone, but if I call and I connect with Jack now, there's not the loneliness that there was before I called.
Absolutely.
And I can do something to impact the connectedness and loneliness in our world. And now we need to be taught it seems like. And I'm stepping up to the plate.
Yeah. 2 really important factors and honestly non-negotiables: sleep and community. In basically all of these epidemiological studies, you can see that all these people living to the centenarian age, they are associated with having a good social circle and having proper, adequate circadian rhythms. They're going to bed at the same night. They're having non-negotiables, meaning 9:30 is that bedtime, and they're waking up at the same time every day.
And on that list is positivity.
Positivity, 100%. They got that that optimal mindset, we could even say. And I feel like that's just associated with living longer. If you're always in these negative thoughts, you're telling your spiritual side or you in general, hey, we don't really need to live as long. There's not really much to go anymore. There's not much to look out for and hope anymore. But if you're in that other frame, what do you know?
Well, it was interesting to me. I've always had a strong sense of I can heal myself. Back in my 20s, maybe 22, the flu was going around at work, and I started feeling kind of nauseous one night. I was on swing shift, and I let it hang around for about 10 minutes, and then I stomped my foot and said, "Go bother somebody else," and it did.
To the flu. You took a virus and you just said go away, and that just did it.
So
try that.
We're putting up with too much. Well, the other side of that I want to mention too, Jack, is that growing up, we often had home remedies for stuff, like maybe, even for our animals, you would feed them molasses if they were, our cows with, sometimes they would get a hard udder, and molasses was the solution for that.
Interesting.
When I get a sore throat, some lemon water or salt water or ginger, we had home remedies, and I still live by that. I've never had cancer. I've never had diabetes. I've never been a night in the hospital. And I'm bragging about it because I take care of my health. And when the ads on TV started saying, when you get the flu or when you get arthritis or when you get skip it. I don't get it. Shut up. Go on.
You're absolutely right, because, there's new studies coming out. Almost half of the people in your age group are getting things like dementia, getting things like heart disease. Their endothelial cells are just lining up with arteries and plaques and all this nonsense. But you're in amazing health. What else? How's the diet? What else are you doing? Are you walking a lot? Fitness? What's going on?
I walk most every day. With all the rain around Seattle, sometimes that's difficult.
Right.
but my inspiration is the dogs that I give biscuits to down the street. My favorite dog is back now from Arizona.
That's amazing.
And I love feeding him biscuits. But I got a home remedy recently on a short video on YouTube. Dr. Mandel, Dr. Mandel, he has a solution for brain fog, and it's helping.
What is it?
And another solution for making sure you don't have blocked arteries. And I haven't seen this in writing, but I was told here a couple years ago that when you drink some lemon juice every day, it helps keep your liver clean. Hello, I like it.
What is that brain fog one you were talking about?
Okay, it's the real unusual thing is that you take a banana, chop off the ends, and then cut it in half and add it to boiling water with the skin on, and boil it for 10 minutes, and then add to it in a large. Oh, you need to boil it in 2 cups of water. But so then once it's boiled, you take a kind of large cup and put cinnamon, a half teaspoon of cinnamon, and a quarter teaspoon of cardamom, and drink it 30 to 45 minutes before you go to bed.
Wow.
Ta-da!
It seems like you're getting the blood sugar stabilizing effect from the cinnamon and the amazing, plant medicine that's found in cinnamon, as well as the potassium from the banana. So you're getting some minerals, you're getting some polyphenols, you could say. That seems like a good trick. I've never tried this.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to try this now.
Yeah. Who's ever bragged about boiling a banana?
I've never heard of that. That's amazing. What else you got?
The one about arteries, the same Dr. Mandel, he talks about in a little jigger in the morning, you put a tablespoon of olive oil and an eighth of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper and a little honey and lemon.
Amazing.
And some of this, he says, is synergistic elements that help help everything work better. But I keep forgetting where to go with that. So
this is why you're disease free.
Yeah, because I want to mention what really made a difference, Jack. I did a Wild Fit diet, and the Wild Fit diet was all about getting back to fresh stuff. And the primary thing was that we started with is starting to notice how food made your body feel.
Huge.
Yeah. So we were to take a week or two of just, when you eat that ice cream, does it make you feel good? Or does it make you feel sluggish? I've still been fighting trying to be gluten-free because I have an ankle that swells when I have gluten and sugar, especially together.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, Wild Fit, getting back to that, we had a smoothie that we're to drink daily, and I'm not sure I think the plan was to have 2 green smoothies a day plus 1 simple clean meal like salmon and a salad.
Nice.
So I noticed that after 2-3 months, I guess it was, that my skin was starting to look like a baby's skin, so clear and so I don't know. Yes, it would be the right
smooth
word,
and
but
vibrant. Yeah, that shine.
Yeah, and in fact, I remember somebody seeing me out in the public said, she kind of did a double take at how clear my skin was, and I think the main difference is that I'm not putting preservatives in my body anymore. And I can now kind of see that I have a soft spot for cookies. I had one Sunday night, and it seems to dull my skin until, I get back to my green smoothie that I fixed yesterday and drank it, all through the day. So
that's amazing. Just getting back, just avoiding all that artificial stuff, avoiding the ultra processed foods, hyper palatable foods. That's so ubiquitous in the grocery store, right? Once you get back to your roots, you notice a difference. And the thing with gluten, man, it's just everyone is reactive to the proteins found in gluten. Everyone is gluten sensitive. A big book that I read that really changed my mind was a book called Grain Brain by Dr. David Perlmutter. It just shows, It's linked to everything, linked to inflammation and chronic fatigue, and you got brain fog and jitters and ADHD. It's crazy. And the sugar. Once you stack those, it's,
And I think,
you know,
and it seems to develop into diabetes.
100%.
Right?
I mean, just having all this bread and the grains and the sugar, and people understand or don't understand why they're feeling like crap and why they look like crap. But it's more simple than they think.
Yeah. I've been on kind of a silent, soapbox for 40, 50 years about how bland our food is.
Let it shine. We got to hear it.
Where's some flavor? They took out all our spices, so everybody would like the same hamburger or the same butter. That's a lot of the healing properties in these home remedies.
Yeah, 100%. Spices used to be currency. Black pepper, salt. I mean, salt was literally traded as gold. And guess what? Where is it now? Now the type of salt we get is ultra processed, bleached, and deodorized salt, as long as the crappy seed oils and all that stuff. And then they throw us gluten on.
Our flour is bleached.
Our flour is bleached. Everything's gone. There's no nutritional value. And basically, unless you're doing good farm to market stuff, it's going to be really hard to find nutritious food.
We're robbed.
We've been robbed, Sharon. You're absolutely right. How do you like to, you said these juices and then food. Where do you like to get your food? Is it a farmer's market? Is it the grocery store?
Well, I have switched over a great deal to just seeds and nuts. So sunflower seeds, almonds, walnuts is good for your brain.
Yep. Good vitamin E.
I have a Brazil nut every day.
Is that all you eat, you're saying?
Well, I love my peanut butter. I probably eat too much of it.
That's okay.
But it is, there's no salt and there is some salt in it, but there's no sugar. I definitely look for peanut butter without sugar.
Yeah.
But in fact, I got a couple recipes over the weekend that I'm trying out. One was a Asian cabbage chicken salad, and I've made one that was actually better than what the recipe I found, but I thought, well, I'll try it out because it was kind of promoted with this new program. And today I'm going to have baked sweet potatoes with avocado and bacon and sesame seeds.
That sounds so good. So phenomenal. The good resistant starch and protein from the pork and good fats from the avocado. You're getting the whole package. That's what it's all about.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. With the green smoothie that we were on in Wildfit, it was spinach or kale, avocado, celery, and cucumber.
Okay.
And when we started out, he said, if that's too much of an adjustment, you can add a green apple to it.
Right.
To start with, and then wean yourself off of the green apple because that's not going to be very sweet, The
things with green smoothies is that, there's new light shining on some of these plant defense chemicals, things like oxalates, things like phytic acid. I don't know if you know about this, but plants, in order to protect themselves, give off certain toxins when you eat their food. So when they're in nature, a rabbit doesn't kill off their whole family, right? So they give off certain plants' defense chemicals. Now, they can be beneficial when combined with the whole plant and all of its amazing antioxidants and polyphenols, but some people can be reactive to certain things like oxalates and phytic acid and whatnot. So if it helps you thrive, if the plants aren't doing you bad and you're feeling good, then it's okay. So are you feeling good off those smoothies?
Yes. In fact, it just reminded me that bananas, before you boil them, rinse them off first.
Yeah.
And I also heard that if you rinse off a lemon and put it in the freezer and then put a little zest on your salads, it's 400 times more effective fighting cancer.
I'm guessing you're preserving all of those amazing plant properties that are so beneficial.
And you're eating the skin.
You're eating the skin, a lot of skin. People just love going on the peel or throwing away the peel, but there's a lot of good plants out there. What are some other good peels to do? I think.
So I've got another recipe I started since around Christmas time was putting orange peel in um, chocolate chips and almonds
Wow.
and
Give me
yeah,
some.
and I think I probably use a little bit of either butter or coconut oil, probably coconut oil,
Amazing.
and I put it. I love dark chocolate anyway, but the orange peel just makes a delightful flavor.
Right? If it tastes good and it's found in nature, it has to be good for us. I mean, besides gluten, I don't
It's
know.
one of those things that rings true to our
You just
what's
know. You
inside.
know
You
when
know.
something's really giving you that good nutrition. You know when something's satiating you, and it's wonderful. Now, the food companies are phenomenal at deceiving us into thinking all of the chips and cookies are good for us because they taste so good. But once you really clear that palate, just like you're doing, and just eating a whole food diet, then you start to experience what it's really like. Now, you said you have a new class coming up as an amazing coach, and you got all these programs. What's this new class entailing? Walk us through it.
Well, I'm going to the course that I have ready to go is this formula of walking people through the deep dive into their self
I see.
knowledge, their self wisdom. So, what do you love to do? What's your personal qualities? What's your hot buttons? Your aspirations? Your values? And then we wrap it up in a metaphor. Metaphors are pretty powerful because they say something to us on a different day, different things. So my metaphor, my inner spark, Jack, is I am precious jewel of wisdom. I am colorful collaborator, motivator, and learner. I am tranquil, authentic, and pure inspirer. I light fires.
Wow, that's powerful. I like that a lot.
So this is a 90-day program. And I'm realizing that I probably need to expand it for maybe another 90 days into just talking to people about how to integrate that into life
Yeah,
and how to be strong enough to live from and make choices from what's what you're here to give. You know, that destiny. Um, it. I have a friend who has done this even with preschoolers, first or preschool or kindergarten. That when they were uh, early years, they would act out a lot and they would misbehave and all this. Well, once the kids knew that they were different on purpose and that's okay, and they know it, they're being different, but those other kids may not appreciate that they're different. And it calms them right down and say, I can live with being different. It's okay now.
love it, love it. A lot of uniformity in the schools and everything. You think you got to fit in. I mean, man, until college, I really, honestly, until about 2 years ago, I started understanding the value of being different and not fitting into the status quo and saying, oh, hey, I like these things. And it's not weird that I like them. It makes, well, unless it's something really odd and, you know, suntanning naked in public, maybe that's a little weird. Go to a nude beach for that. But, go back to your certain crafts, things that you liked as a child, and relish those, love them, because it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm the last couple of weeks I've started trying to be sensitive about all those people that think they have an answer for me. You know, do it this way. We got the answer, whatever. And trying to, I have my own
Yep.
answer. And there was a year ago Thanksgiving time. I remember seeing a Lewis Howes podcast with Rhonda Byrne, who wrote The Secret.
Mm.
And she said on that podcast, the more effortless you are, the more you'll have everything you ever dreamt of. And she gave a couple stories of having, she was living in California and the fires were coming through her town twice. She walked away from her house with nothing in her hand and trusted it would be there to come home to. And it was.
Amazing.
So to me, I have now, before I get out of bed in the morning, I kind of have a sense, according to what's important to me of what to do in the day. I often get a feeling in my gut as to what's, or if something promotes, like yesterday, I had a sense that I should connect with this guy to get a book back that I've been trying to get back for like 2 months, and it worked out perfectly.
He stole your book?
No, I kind of gave it to him as a loaner at Christmas time and a gift, and I kept trying to, get it back.
You liked it a lot, then.
Yeah, and actually, it's a book that talks a lot about fear, and it's called Outwitting the Devil.
I love it.
By Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. Wow.
It was locked away for 70 years because it was said that once you publish this, you'll be blacklisted for the rest of your life. And it describes on page 108 what we're living through today.
Wow. Yeah, no wonder it was.
So anyway, that's all about fear. But the second time I read it, I
open the conspiracy gates, please.
So the second thing I got from it was how we have access to infinite intelligence and infinite wisdom.
Yep, from within. From within.
So yeah, let's have people join me. My website is SharonRolph.com, but the class, I think you have to. It's not shown on the first page. You have to go in a page or two, and then /inner-spark is where you find that class. But I think this is so powerful and so. There's a reason we're distracted.
Who's doing it?
And when we live from what matters to us, we realize the gold, the diamonds that are inside of us, and it makes us happy when we live from there. Meaning and fulfillment. And when I was looking towards retirement, I didn't know what made me happy. Happy. What's the importance of happy? Well, I have collected near-death experiences. I love hearing those. And so I got to the point where I'm going to imagine that I'm in heaven like these people talk about, having visited there. And what would it be like to feel heaven, hear heaven, smell heaven?
Amazing.
And how can it incorporate, impact even every cell of my body? And how would that make life different here?
You're hitting the quantum realm on this.
Well, yeah. In fact, I wanted to mention that earlier about the principle of quantum is living outside of time, and seeing that and believing that the problem you're trying to solve today is already solved out there in the future.
Whoa.
Pretty exciting. I haven't quite incorporated that into my life.
It's so hard to imagine. We didn't grow up as a species to do that. We just came here to hunt, procreate, and survive. There was no need to look into the quantum. So it's interesting you say that now, because so many books have come out about it. Joe Dispenza is a great author who's really talked about the quantum and unlocking your inner you and the potential.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I read The Biology of Belief maybe 20 years ago.
Oh, who wrote that?
Bruce Lipton.
I've heard of that, The Biology of Belief.
Yeah, I don't believe I bought the book, but I do have his next book. The title has something to do like honeymoon, but it's living from that happiness, that curiosity, that what's possible.
Yeah. Sharon, before we wrap things up, let's walk through an ideal day that you live. What's your routine like, starting from the morning till the night? How are things now?
Well, lately I start with my lemons, cayenne pepper, olive oil.
Nice.
and then I either have oatmeal, cooked oatmeal or a boiled egg, or I've gotten these rice cakes that I eat with the egg and the avocado at times. And I've now been using some affirmations around attracting abundance and prosperity and clients. And then I every day, probably about 4 to 6 p.m. Now that the spring is here, I go for a walk and I whistle at the birds and see if there's any squirrels or bunnies, and I take biscuits to get kisses from the dogs.
Oh, that's amazing.
I do need more fun in my life. And so I'm little by little adding just calming days. I have an ocean, Puget Sound here, just about a mile and a half away. Mm-hmm. And I don't spend nearly enough time there. So I'm trying to get down there, promise myself. I still have to work on that, of getting down there like at least weekly. But while I'm walking, I'm looking at what's blooming or what's going to seed or what's sprouting up out of the ground. Just looking. There's so much healthiness being outside. And so many of our lives are spent inside buildings that, probably sap our energy instead of beauty is something that fills my spirit a lot. And, even a beautiful Tesla, as long as it's not black and white.
Beauty's in everything. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Especially forest bathing, just like you're talking about, being out in nature. There's electrical signals coming from everything, and that's really grounding us back, especially, grounding in general, taking your shoes off and just being barefoot. You know what I mean?
Yes. I, in fact, have a grounding pad here that I'd given it as a Christmas present, and it didn't seem to do the job for making a difference with my sister with rheumatoid arthritis. So I said, well, I want it back then. And so I've been taking my shoes off and sitting with it under my desk at my office.
Do you use the stake to plug it in outside, or do you just plug it in through a grounding outlet?
A grounding outlet,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I've got a big question for you. What would have you told yourself, my age, that you know now that you wanted to know at 22 years old? What was the advice you would give yourself, your 22-year-old self?
Well, what comes to mind is, you see it every now and then, placards that say, believe in yourself or live from. My point is, I have to admit, I did not take a risk in making some hard decisions. I did make a couple that were hard, but to fully not go with the normal career plan and instead have the gumption, the confidence, to hold out for the best match for me, that responsibility for paying for your roof over your head and your car was pretty, it won the balance in the decision I made. And I have to admit, I didn't always succeed at that.
Right.
But I did have the courage to move with my job. So I wasn't leaving a paycheck.
Good for you.
From Seattle to Tampa, Florida. And I'm glad I did that. It was a different maturing process, but I lived through it and was glad I did. And another time I moved myself at my own expense to Dallas, Texas. And that could have been maybe a better
That's where I live.
Decision. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, believing in yourself is so critical to having a more joyful and rewarding life.
It's amazing. Well, Sharon, you're quite frankly in a perfect state of mind, perfect state of health. 75 years old, you're killing it. You're coaching amazing people. You have amazing programs. We're going to link to everything in the podcast description. Thank you so much for coming on. You're an absolute wealth of knowledge. Thank you once again, Sharon.
Thank you, Jack. It's an honor.
Thank you for listening to this Cool Health podcast. Our goal is to make health cool for everyone, so thank you for your contribution to this cause. If you received any benefits out of this podcast, please consider supporting us by hitting like, sharing it with others, and subscribing to our channel. Thanks once again, and see you guys next time. Now go make impact in this world.